But speaking of contracts, I feel like we're kind of burying the lead here. Auston Matthews signed a giant extension this past week. All right, why don't you dive into that?
Yeah, a 4-year extension, $53 million. It comes out to $13.25 million for each year, average annual value. A full no move clause as well. What was interesting to me, only $3.35 million is base salary. $49.6 million is all signing bonuses, which I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but that jumped out at me pretty crazy. And gee, when the deal expires, he's only going to be 30 years old. He'll actually turn 31 a couple months later. So, what was your initial reaction on this? G? Like, were you shocked about where you thought it might come in? Thought maybe a few more years. What was your take?
No, I don't think any of us were really shocked after having a couple drinks with Judd down in Nashville. I think we knew this deal was getting done. It was only just a matter of time when. I have a hot take, boys, and I said this in Boston, and it actually pains me to say this, but I think the Toronto Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup this year.
Whoa.
I do, and I'm not saying that to pander. I love everything that this team did this offseason. I'm not a fan of the team, but I love, adding Bertuzzi, adding Ryan Reeves, adding Max Domi, locking up Auston Matthews so there's no distractions heading into the season. Do they still need help on the back end with goalie and defense? Absolutely. That can be acquired at the deadline. There's just something in the pit of my stomach that's telling me this is the year. All-Star games in Toronto. It's their season. They win the Stanley Cup this year, and it pains me to fucking say it.
Wow. Merles, what's your take on this deal?
Yeah, I think it's a good deal for both sides. I really thought Auston was going to move on. I thought he was going to try to get to LA, but maybe when they got Dubois, that ended that idea. But now I just feel like now Nylander is definitely probably gone. They can't get signed both of them, right? So now maybe you move Nylander to get that D you're talking about, G. I like the Leafs too. I won't go as far as saying win the cup, but I will be backing them. I think they can make a serious run. I don't see Florida being as good as they were. Tampa, they took care of them last year. Boston won't be as good. So it's going to be, I don't think it's that hard in the East for them. Maybe the Devils, it will give them their hardest game.
And real quick, I think for years it's been kind of widely known that Pat Brisson is the NHL agent. He's the big dog in the NHL. Judd's in that conversation now. I mean, this guy has $330 million in active contracts. He has Connor McDavid. He has Auston Matthews, Zach Werenski, Roman Josi. This guy has everyone. Judd is taking over the agent game. And it's awesome to see because he's the best guy in the world.
He used to be my agent. When Pat Brisson was my agent at one point in my career, I would get emails from Judd. I'm like, who's this guy? It must be his secretary. Who is this pigeon? Fast forward 20 years, he's a power agent. Got all the best players. He's an unreal
That's so cool
guy
to hear, though, and see, too, because so many people have said that. I think Witt said that. You've said that. They're like, yeah, Judd used to just be so low in the industry, and he worked his way all the way up. And guys, $330 million in active contracts. That's fucking bananas.
Wow.
First round's on him.
Goes to the agent.
Yeah, like you said, he is a great guy. So everybody roots for Judd. He's a hell of a guy to hang out with. Next time we are in Toronto, man, it's going to be the All-Star game. It's going to be a slobber knock when we get up there for that. But
what do you think of the deal, RA?
It's about right about where I figured, $13.25 million. I mean, obviously the cup's going to go up. Hopefully it's going to go up $6-7 million over the next 3 or 4 years that they're saying. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be the highest guy in the league, highest paid guy in the league until the next contract comes down, whether it's, McDavid or whoever. But yeah, I think it's great value for Toronto, right about where I expected it to be. But it's going to be interesting to see just who goes higher from here. You know what I mean? Because I think I saw the highest percentage of a contract is taken up for a team salary cap was Ovechkin when he signed his deal initially. I want to say it was 19% of the cap. It was pretty high, but that's been the highest percentage that one contract is taken up on a team's cap since. So, and Matthews isn't anywhere near that. So it's going to be interesting to just see all this money coming in for these guys the next few years and how they're going to balance their rosters out and stuff. Because it's not just getting the players, man. You got to balance that money as we all know. Because we got to keep track of that, the average annual value, all that stuff. Gets my brain a little scrambled.
I was kind of talking to Merles earlier a bit about this, and I'd love to hear your guys' opinion. Who do you guys think is the best contract in the NHL now? I mean, not that Auston Matthews is probably in that category because he's the highest paid player. But I'd love to hear from you guys, like overall value, everything. Like, who do you guys think is the absolute best contract in the NHL?
One guy jumps out at me right away is Draisaitl. He's making 8.5 or something right now. And I mean, that guy, he does it all. He does power play, penalty kill. He's getting 50 goals. People say, oh, it's because he plays with McDavid, but he'd be putting up numbers similar to that playing with anybody else too. And he plays a lot when they're split apart. They play on separate lines. He still is dominant. And some nights he's better than McDavid we've seen. So him at 8.5, I really like. And then the one that our boy Barbashev just signed with Vegas for $5 million is another one. Just because of the style he plays, not a lot of guys play that. And if he's scoring like he did in the playoffs, then that's a really nice looking deal for a $5 million guy.
You know what's the contract I think everyone forgets? Brad Marchand, $6.125 million a year.
Took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say. He's got 2 years left at that price too. He's a huge bargain. But honestly, Crosby, 8.7. That's pretty cheap for that guy. He's he's a $12, $13 million player easily with the skill, his resume. He's fucking 36 too, man. Those guys got old quick. Him and Marchand's 35. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I bet Marchand plays out this contract and then he's done. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays the 2 more years and then he hangs him up.
Pasha's in the chat, of course, yelling for Jack Hughes, which that's a decent one too. That's gonna be not so good today, but I mean, in 4 years or whatever, he still had $8 million. That's gonna be sick.
I mean, I think even today, I mean, he had 99 points this past year. Like $8 million for a guy who's getting 99 points, I'll take that any day of the week.
Mm-hmm. But just imagine in 4 years when he's putting up 120 points for that, and everybody else is going to be making the 13 that Matthews is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, he's the guy who said if not everybody has to take a little less to win. That was the Crosby quote from that interview. So it's going to be interesting though, just to see how it plays out when these teams are doling out this kind of dough.